Okay. Well, hello again to all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. John and Ellie of Georgia Beer Reviews back with another spur of the moment examination featuring my good buddy Michael Komaroff, and we are doing yet another Bourbon County Stout examination. The reason being because I found another variant that I've never had before, and anytime I can find Bourbon County Stout products in the state of Georgia, I always get really excited, and more likely than not, I'm gonna buy at least a bottle. This one was $24.99, and I've never had this variant before. It is the 2018 Bourbon County Bramble Rye Stout, 12.7% alcohol. It is aged in rye whiskey barrels and blended with raspberries and blackberries, and as you can see there on the screen, it clocks in at 12.7% alcohol by volume. Mine was bottled on August 24th, 2018, so not quite 2 years old, but it's got some good age to it. And Michael, you are drinking another 2017, correct?
The standard Bourbon County Stout 2017. You can see it on the top of the rim of the 2017. And it's 14.1% alcohol by volume. And this was brewed on July 14th, 2017. So it's been in the bottle a little less than 3 years, but still 2 years and 8 months. And
all right.
And like I said, I bought 8 of these, and these are the ones I've been drinking. I want to keep one for each year. I have a 16, a 17, an 18, and a 19 in case I ever want to do a vertical. But so far, the 17s I had the most volume in, so that's why I'm drinking.
You could save the vertical for when I come up to visit you. That'd be a good time right there.
Let me show you what it looks like in the glass. John, do you want to do yours first?
No, I'll let you go ahead. Really quick, we got JoJo in the chat. Cheers to you, JoJo. And Tyler Mansell is also tuning in. Cheers to you guys. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go ahead and pour mine up, and you can go ahead and start giving us a breakdown of yours there if you want.
So if you look at it in the glass, it has a very dark look. I guess you could say it's black, but it's probably the most extreme dark brown you can get. Because if you do look at it in the light, I don't have a light right over me, but you can see the light can get through it, but it's very, very dark brown. The head is tan, and for a beer at 14%, the fact that the head and the head retention is this good shows you how quality this beer is. Because you notice when you swish it, it keeps recovering, and
that's one thing about the Bourbon County. All of the variants that I've had, and from what I've seen of the ones that you've had, it does retain the head pretty nicely. And even when it dies down, if you give it a good swirl, it'll regenerate, which to me is a sign of a quality beer.
For sure. Let me give it a nose.
All right. Wow. And cheers to Bumpy, who's also on the chat.
Okay. Like I said, I've had these beers a lot of times, and they do keep well in the bottle. It's amazing how many different nose items you can pick up in this. You're getting the bourbon, you're getting the oak of the barrels, you're getting coffee, you're getting chocolate, you're getting dry dark fruit, you're getting vanilla. Let's see if there's anything else. The dark fruit, I think, to me is more fig, but maybe there's some plum in it as well. A little bit of char, that tobacco kind of thing in this as well. I mean, it's astounding that you can get so many different combinations, but I guess one thing you do have to say about Goose Island, they've become expert in brewing this beer, and every year it seems to be consistently good. Cheers.
Right.
I'm going to give it a taste.
All right. Cheers, Michael.
Wow. And this stuff holds up really well, too. Like I said, it's almost got 3 years on it, and maybe it does get better because it's like, all the taste I mentioned, you're getting. The taste follows the nose. And the best part is they have a way of not allowing you to taste the alcohol in it. It's shocking to me that you can drink a 14.1% bourbon barrel-aged stout that tastes like an 8%. I mean, I'm not going to claim that this tastes like a session. It doesn't taste like a session. It's too intense to be session, but it certainly tastes like a regular stout, maybe 8 or 9%. And how do they do it?
Quality. The only thing that comes to mind is quality, because I mean it's almost unheard of. I mean, you know, you drink these macros and stuff. You go to the grocery store, you buy I'll give you an example of the worst type of product in this category. Look at like a Four Loko, that's 14% alcohol or 12%, depending on the state you live in, I guess. You taste every bit of that alcohol. Even these 7-8% malt liquors, you taste the alcohol, but then you have something that's almost double the alcohol, and it's masked exceptionally well. And it's just so complex, so rich in the flavor. And I mean, I've been blown away by the Bourbon County line. Every one that I've tried has been in the A range. Even the one that you had that you said wasn't super top notch, I believe it was the Midnight Orange, you still thought it was in the A range. It just didn't have that orange flavor profile that you were expecting from the label. But
I thought it tasted more like cherry. And I guess, you know, what somebody did say to me later is, who cares if they're right in the flavor as long as it tastes good? And that's fine. But why do you put orange on it then?
Right.
I mean, to me, now again, that I did take some points off it for that. But the other side is, I have never had anything in this series that's been not very good. And I'm saying very good because I found that even that orange variant to be very good. And I think I gave it a 93 or a 94. It wasn't.
I think you still gave it an A. It was just it lost points because it didn't have the orange.
Now, I have never had a Bourbon County stout in all the years I've tried that was not an A+, that was not a 98 or a 99. They've all been top. And again, everybody who watches John's Beer Channel when I'm on, I do not give hundreds. So if I did give hundreds, this would get 100. I just don't. 99 is the top. I'm looking. Maybe I could change at any point and do it, I guess, and give 100. But so far, 99 is the highest grade. I'm hoping it's something knocks my socks off to the point that I give it 100. But right now, 99 is the highest grade. And I get what you're saying, John, about the combination is definitely true. It's the way that they put all the different flavors together, and it's very complex, and yet there's unity in the flavors. It's amazing.
Right. Cheers to Jeremy Vincent and Jacob Downey. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll go ahead and give you a quick rundown of mine. So the Bramble Rye here. For those of you just tuning in, it's 12.7% alcohol. It is aged in rye whiskey barrels, and it is blended with raspberries and blackberries. So let me go ahead and top mine off here. Okay. So initially it did pour with about a finger's worth of a nice dark tan, almost into the beige color with the head. Very creamy looking, nice tight bubbles. The appearance with mine, I guess you can see through it slightly when you hold it up to light, but you know, it's pretty much black for all intents and purposes there. It's pretty much black. The aroma with this one is just outstanding. You're getting the blackberries, you're getting the raspberries. It's got a nice tart thing going on. It almost smells like it's been sour, but clearly it hasn't. You're just getting those nice notes from the blackberries and raspberries, especially the raspberries, because the raspberry is a very tart berry, even more so than a blackberry. It smells really good. You're getting those nice roasty, toasty notes on the aroma as well, maybe a touch of dark chocolate, some nice dark toasted bread notes. The oak, the wood presence from the barrel aging is definitely coming through as well, maybe a slight vanilla note also, which could also be coming from the barrel presence. It smells absolutely delightful. It doesn't smell boozy at all. You're not getting any of the 12.7% on the nose. All right. Cheers, Michael.
Cheers. Enjoy.
Man. So the fruit notes are coming through first. The raspberry and the blackberry, they're nicely blended. It's hard to say which one is more pronounced. They're kind of blended perfectly together, so you get the best of both. It immediately leads into a nice toasty bread note very dark toasted bread note in the middle of the sip, a touch of dark chocolate, touch of vanilla, some nice oak notes, some toasted oak notes, I guess. The body is just silky smooth. Of course, it is more on the heavy side, being that it's 12.7%, very strong beer, but the alcohol is masked exceptionally well. There is a slight warming effect going down, so you know that you're drinking a high alcohol beer. But much like you said with the bourbon, with your Bourbon County, the alcohol is masked exceptionally well, and the fact that you're not picking up on a lot of boozy characteristics, to me, that's indicative of a very high quality beer. I'm not really getting necessarily like a rye, like it does taste barrel aged, but I'm not getting anything that would indicate that it's rye barrel aged. But it's very smooth, very easy drinking. The fruit is there, the breadiness is there, the chocolate notes are there. You mentioned tobacco with yours. I'm kind of getting a sweet yellow tobacco note with mine that I wasn't picking up the first time that I drank this, so that's interesting. It definitely has that going on. It's just so complex, so beautiful. This is actually my favorite version of the Bourbon County Stout. My favorite before this was the Northwood Stout Edition. I believe it was the 2017. That one had almonds and blueberry puree in the beer, and it was aged obviously in bourbon barrels as well. That one I think was 11.5, 11.7. I can't recall. It's been a while. I think I actually did a review on my channel, but this one tops that. I love berries. I love the fact that they blended the fruit juice in with the stout, and the rye whiskey barrels just adds just a depth of flavor and complexity that you just don't get with a lot of beers these days. If you're into stouts, particularly imperial barrel-aged stuff, you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't try the Bourbon County line. If you can find it in your area, it's definitely worth checking out. Really quick, I want to go back to the chat. We got John Womack in the chat. We got Blake TV in the chat. We got our good buddy Drunken One. He's still with us. Have you started drinking yet, Drunken One? I'm sure you have. Happy birthday to John Womack. Thanks for joining us on your birthday. And let's see. Here come the troublemakers. Yeah, so thanks everybody for tuning in. Oh, we've also got Sut, our good buddy Ronald Sut. Says nothing but grains, hop, yeast, and water for me. No flavored whiskey either. Man up. Oh, man. You don't know what you're missing, Sut. It definitely beats the socks off of Ham's beer. I'll tell you that much. All right. So we are caught up on the chat. I'm blown away by this beer. This, like I said, this is my favorite Bourbon County to date. I'm really pleased with it. It does have a little bit of age on it. So I don't know if that helped with the development of the beer any, but these beers definitely hold up to aging very well, as you probably all know if you've watched any of our other Bourbon County examinations that we've done in the past. So, Michael, I'll go back to you.
Okay. The point I'd like to make, I really have not had very much exposure to the variants. It seems like I could have gotten them years ago when I wasn't into buying Bourbon County, because I remember my nephew always told me, he says, you should try it. And I always thought the price point was so high. This is me years ago that I didn't buy it. And I guess the years I'm talking about, it came in a different bottle. It didn't have this top. It had a straight top, but it was still 16.9 ounce bottle. And I didn't buy it. I remember the Food Co-op did have it, and they had the coffee variant. This might be 2012 or 13. So I could have bought it, and I didn't. But I always bought the what was then the barley wine, which has now become the wheat wine. And it's I have not seen the wheat wine this year. You were able to get the one with the, what was the Spanish version of one of the which one did you get?
I was able to get the Cafe de Olla with the with the coffee in there. And I did get the wheat wine. We did an examination where I actually had the wheat wine version, but I didn't get that here. That was when I went down to visit Jay, and I stopped at a liquor store in New Orleans with David Garlapede, and I saw the wheat wine version, which I believe is like 14.9%. So it's over the legal limit in Georgia. So of course I picked up a bottle, and it was $20+ for the bottle, but I'm never going to see it again here. So I couldn't resist picking up a bottle, and that was a 99 out of 100. So it was well worth it.
Well, it goes to show you how I've changed in my purchasing, because once I tried the Bourbon County Stout, I liked it enough that I said if I can get a good price on it, I'll buy it. And I don't know if you remember me telling you this year, the 2017, I got this at Whole Foods for $9.99 a bottle, which is the cheapest I've ever gotten it. Jay, I guess, has gotten some stuff for less in the later, after they've sold out most of what they had. I think it's even been like $9.79 at the Thurns where he works. But this was $9.99, and I bought 8, and that was the most I ever bought, I think, of any premium beer like this. But other years I've bought 3. I think I bought 3 in 2018. I only bought 1 in 2019, and I have 1 left from 2016. So I could do like a 4-year vertical, but it's just like the accolades about this beer. They just keep coming. It's amazing that it could. Also, I didn't mention it's also chewy in a good way. Now, some people would say an imperial stout like this, chewy is not going to be positive. They've gotten the flavors down to the point where chewy is a good thing. And it's like, when I say chewy, I mean the mouthfeel is a little bit more to the heavy side on anything it's thick, but when it can be chewy, it's almost like all those tastes, you're chewing them in a very positive way. And I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, the mouthfeel is definitely really thick. And yeah, it almost does kind of have a little bit of a chewiness to it. That's a good note. But yeah, in a good way. People might be thinking chewy. I don't want a chewy beer. Well, try Bourbon County Stout and you'll understand exactly why you do want a chewy beer. Now, if you had a Natty Daddy and it was chewy, yeah, that's not what you want. But for this, it works.
Right. And this is not for a novice drinker either. Do not recommend this to people who drink macros and say, why don't you try this stout? Because no matter what, this will be too much for them to handle. And what they're going to say, what is this? Again, if they were into hard liquor where they like bourbon, maybe they could like this. I don't know. It's possible they could like it.
Right.
Well, look, Jeremy is saying that I'm going to at least make it to be 89, because 20 years from now.
He also says that he would love to buy a copy of Michael's scorebook on Amazon.
Jeremy, there's only one of my scorebook, so obviously I can't give you a copy of it. But maybe when I write my memoirs, I can make copies of the pages and send some of them out. But it's like an ongoing adventure, as they say. But John, this stuff, I have to say, and we keep talking about how wonderful these beers are. It's just that if people do not try them, they can't understand how good it is.
And I would say, if you live in an area like I do, where you can't get all the variants because of the alcohol content, it exceeds the legal limit in your state, wherever you may live. Any of the variants, if you can find them, the price is going to be up there for some of them. The original is actually the cheapest one. I believe you can get it for $12.99, sometimes cheaper, but usually when they're released every year on Black Friday, I think they start at $12.99 for the original Bourbon County. And then the variants go up to $18.99 all the way up to $25. I think this one was one of the more expensive ones because it was aged in a different barrel. The rye barrels are maybe a little bit more high-end than the other bourbon barrels that they use for the other variants. Maybe they're just more expensive. I don't know, or it could be the addition of the raspberries and the blackberries, the cost of the fruit to blend into the stout. Any way you slice it, I would recommend buying any of the variants if you see them at least once. You do yourself a favor. If you're a beer lover, if you like craft beer, if you like stouts, you really need to try some of the Bourbon County stuff at least once. I know they can be pricey, but they are worth it. You need to mark that off your bucket list, people. It is definitely worth trying because they are among the best stouts in the world, as far as I'm concerned. How many
were left when you bought the second one? Did they have quite?
There were 2 left on the shelf. There were 3 yesterday, and then I bought. There were 4. I bought 1 yesterday. Then there were 3. Then I bought this one, so I bought 2 bottles in the last 2 days. So there's 2 left on the shelf. I'll go back again probably next week sometime. I don't know if I'll buy another bottle because I just spent $50 for 2 bottles of beer.
You might buy something else there instead.
Right. Like maybe I'll buy another one of the Yeti chocolate cherry, stouts or something like that. But they have a great selection there. But I'm very glad that I got to try this multiple times, and it was definitely worth. I don't have any negative thoughts on spending that kind of money for this beer. It was definitely worth it. Now, if this was only a 90 out of 100, I'd probably be disappointed because you're paying a lot of money, so you expect a world-class product, and that is exactly what I'm getting. I'll go ahead and let you can go ahead and give your rating for that.
Just on what I've spoken so far, you know what I'm going to give it. This is going to get a classic 99.
99.
Can't go because I don't do 100. But I mean, if I did do 100, I would do 100. There's nothing wrong with this. It's perfect. You can't do it better than this. And as we said earlier, look at it now. It's been sitting. You can still swish it. You can still get the head. I mean, it's amazing that in a beer of 14.1% that the head stays at all. But it does stay, and it's amazing.
Yeah, nice little head regeneration there when I swirled it around for mine as well. So I thought about this. I did a solo review yesterday, and of course I bought another bottle today. That's how good it was. I usually don't give hundreds. I've given, I think, maybe 4 or 5 since I started my channel, and I've reviewed hundreds, if not thousands, of beers. This one, I have to give it 100 because my favorite one before I tried this one was the Northwood Stout Edition, and that one, at the time, I gave that 100. Obviously, I've had a lot more beer since then, and my palate has changed a little bit. This one is better than that, and the other one, I think I gave a 98 or 99. The coffee one, this one is a lot better than that, just based on my personal tasting preferences because I prefer – I don't necessarily like coffee in my stouts. I like more to taste more of the malt, and the coffee sometimes can be overpowering. So this hits it on all points. I love the fruit notes in there, that little tobacco, the roasty toastiness, the dark chocolate, the oak from the rye barrels. Everything with this is perfect. So I got to call it like I see it. I got to give it 100.
Okay, so I guess it averages 99.5 between our 2 reviews, which definitely super world class. Top end, like wonderful, and there's really nothing bad we can say about it. I think Goose Island is this division of Goose Island. I'm not trying to pick on Goose Island IPA or some of their other products. It just seems like they've gotten this Bourbon County Stout to the point where they don't make a bad year. Every year is good, and they are consistently wonderful. And I don't find it shocking anymore because I've been drinking it now for years. So to me, I'm not shocked. I just feel that it's consistency now. And all these bottles, the one you have, the one I have, they're all now pasteurized to avoid what happened in 2015 when they had their big debacle and had to recall all those beers for bad souring. But I think I've told this story before. I had some of the ones that were in that date and got credit, and I drank them, and they were fine. They were not sour.
So you got the double. So you drank them, got to enjoy them, and then you also got your money back.
I got the double effect. It shows you a class company that stands behind their products because they said, just in case it's bad. Now, also, John, if it had been sour, that might have been right in your wheelhouse. You might have liked it anyway. So, you like sour stout. So you might have thought it was okay.
I think that's why I like this one so much because the raspberries and blackberries almost have a slight souring effect to it because it's very tart fruit that they're putting in there.
Now, Darwin did review one that I saw that had soured, and he didn't like it. Now, the other side of that is, I guess he expected it to be a 99 to him or whatever, and it wasn't. And he gave it like a 93 or a 94. But
he still liked it. He still liked it, obviously, if he gave it a 93.
He still admitted, like I did on that orange one, he still admitted the quality was still in the beer. He just thought that it had soured. And obviously, since they did recall some, they didn't like the effect either because they like it to be, top end. But like anything else, most of the beers I've had from them have been amazing. And even to give one a 93 or 94 is not a bad thing. It's just Doug, who bought that beer again and paid whatever he did, $23, $24 for it. We thought you'd be better off buying 2 of the regular stout and 1 of the variants, unless the variant is like yours, which is terrific. Then it's different, like you do all the time, and it's wonderful, and that's it. He thought in that situation. Now, he didn't know that the orange wasn't going to be great when he bought it, but I think the basic stout is always a real value.
Right. Yeah, and of course, if I could get the standard variant, I would probably have only bought 1 bottle of this to try it, and then I would have bought another couple of the original, because I'm kind of a purist. I love this one, and of course I just gave it a perfect score, so it's absolutely incredible, world-class stuff. But normally I'm a purist when it comes to stouts. I don't like all the additives, and the only variants that I can get here are the ones that have the additives to it. So I would love to be able to try the original, because I mean that's what I'm all about. I mean, you're talking about a bourbon barrel-aged stout. It's got higher alcohol for one, so either they're aging it longer in the barrels to get more barrel presence, or I guess maybe because they're not cutting it down with fruit or coffee or whatever. It's just the purest version of that stout available, so that you're getting more bang for your buck, and it's cheaper. It's half the price of this.
But I don't think they've ever brewed one less than 14%, so they'll never be sold in Georgia in the original version.
Right. Yeah. The 2019 variant, they had 2 different versions. I believe they had a 14.7 and they had a 15.2.
Right. Jay had the 15.2. I had the 14.7, which I have not tried yet. I still have it here in my.
Now, it's interesting. Did they sell both versions in New York? Because New York doesn't have any alcohol limit laws, do they?
0.7, but maybe states are given not based on anything per se. They're just given whatever they got, and they just ship it that way. And maybe there's no set way to decide which state gets which, whatever. So I don't know the reason. I think it's sad though that you can't get the higher alcohol ones, because you like the high alcohol as long as it's handled well. As long as it's masked, you like it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Let's see. Jeremy's talking about the Goose Island. They are amazingly good. Sut is talking about he doesn't mind barrel aging, but don't add anything. Hey, I'm okay with that. But so Sut, if you get a chance to try the Bourbon County Stout, buy the original, because it doesn't have any additives, and let us know what you think. Jeremy says enjoyed the show. Yeah, that's what, no additives. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, to each his own. Not everybody likes the stuff, coffee or fruit or whatever that is added to all these beers nowadays. So you're more of a purist, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. You like your hams and you like your basic flavors. Nothing wrong with that at all. All right, so 99.5 for the average of these Bourbon County stouts. I don't really know what else to say, people. If you're out there and you can find these beers, you should check them out.
I'm going to do some closing thoughts now, if that's okay with you, John.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, tomorrow night, and it's funny, tomorrow is the first Thursday in April, when I normally have quote-unquote people here. Unfortunately, because in New York State, we're having probably the worst of what's going on with the coronavirus, where we are stuck in our homes, and you're not supposed to have more than 10 people together. And maybe it's even less now. That's what it was at the beginning. So I had a bunch of people invited to come to my house, and unfortunately, almost everybody is not coming. But my wife will be here, and my friend Brian will be here. John, Brian is the guy who came back from Japan. I told you this story, but I'll tell it again. He came back from Japan before all this stuff started, went back to his job at Verizon, and they said, sorry, you have to go home. You are now quarantined. So he went home, told him to stay home for 2 weeks. So he stayed home. But we had the March tasting on March 5th, and Brian texts me. He says, I'm quarantined, but I'm willing to come to the tasting. Now, unfortunately, when Audrey, my wife, heard he was quarantined, said, Brian, thanks, but no thanks. You're not coming to the beer tasting because if you're quarantined, we're worried about you. And so he didn't come to the tasting, but he said ouch on the thing on Facebook. So obviously he was surprised, but it wasn't my decision. I would have let him come. I wasn't scared and I wasn't worried about it. He turned out to be clean. He did his whole thing and he's back working. Verizon is considered, because it's a telecommunications company, a vital, whatever you want to call it, something that's necessary in society. So he is working.
Okay. So it'll be the three of you. Hey, sometimes the smaller tastings can be maybe a little bit more fun because you can get a little bit more into it and you don't have to keep track of so many different people.
Right. It'll go more quickly, though, but it'll be fun. But Brian and I will drink the bulk of what's here because Audrey only handles about an ounce of each beer. What I'm going to do, because I know, John, you're not going to publish this until after tomorrow, this examination, or you maybe, I don't know. You can.
Well, it's live. I mean, it's live now, so.
Okay, he's not. I don't think he's monitoring it, so I think we're safe. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tell you the beers that I'm going to do tomorrow, just so you can tell me what you think. So tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you how many you were doing since you had such a small number.
I'm going to do 8, and between the two of us, and Audrey will get a little bit of each one. So the first one is one we're familiar with, Oscar Blues Old Chub, which is a Scottish ale. It's not as good as the Dirty Bastard, but it's still a quality beer, usually A- kind, whatever. That's the first one. The second one is Founders Brut IPA, which is a 6%, and I like it. We'll see how it goes over.
Is that the civilized brute?
Yes, and that's okay. So that's that. The third is Lion Stout, which I just did on Sunday. It's an 8.8 foreign stout, and that's the last one I have. The fourth one, is the Alltech Kentucky Pumpkin Ale. Did you get a chance to try that?
I have had that. I bought a 4-pack and I really liked it, and I don't think I ever got around to doing a review on my channel. I drank the whole 4-pack, but it was good. I really liked it.
You liked it. Okay, the fifth one is Southern Tier 2X Stout, which is a milk stout at 7.5%. Did you ever try that?
No, I've had their 2X IPA, never their 2X Stout.
They have a 2X Stout, so that's the fifth one. Number 6 is Benedictiner Hell. It's brewed by the same company that makes it's funny, I'm drawing a blank. What's a famous German style beer that's kind of like a tap beer? I'm trying to think of the name.
Hefeweizen or
what's one of the more famous German style beers? Just drawing a blank, and this does happen.
Sometimes it's not like a standard German Pils, maybe, or a
standard German beer, and they're the manufacturer of Benedictiner, but this is their lager, and so that's number 6. 7 is something that came in my cousin's North Carolina cavalcade from a brewery called Natty Greens, and it's called Mighty Citra. And it's a single hop Citra pale ale. And
now is the date on that one?
And it's in date. See, I can't do it if it's not in date, because then Brian could say, hey, this tastes kind of ratty, and I don't want to do that. The last one was the one, I think I was discussing this with you, or maybe not, that when my daughter was engaged, her friends came and they had been in Canada, and they brought something called Laker Red, which is a red lager from Canada. So that's the last one. I looked at it on what's it called? Rate Beer, and it didn't get a good score. But see, I look at the Rate Beer especially, that a lot of the scores are based on what the people who tasted it, and they're not experts necessarily. It's you and me, and you're going to get people who are going to rate things high and people who are going to rate things low, and it's an average, and that's how it's scored. And they didn't score this one by style because they didn't have enough ratings. So it was like, I don't know, it was okay. Their scale is okay, good, very good, excellent, world class kind of thing. And it was at the bottom of their rating scale. That's why I moved it to the back. But it's a red style lager, and we'll see how I like it. I know it's going to be fairly new because they bought it in late February in Canada, so it's going to be fresh.
It'll be interesting to say the least because most of your red beer, you have red ales. We've got Killian's, you've got Murphy's, and there's a lot of red ales. I don't know. Honestly, I can't think of a red lager. Well, I take that back. Budweiser, the Reserve Series, they had a Freedom Reserve red lager, but I've only had a select few red lagers because most of the red beers on the market are ales, not lagers.
Right.
So,
like G-Night from Oscar Blues is a red ale. So that's one example. Right. Okay, I have the German beer now. I thought of it. I knew as time went on. It's a Bitburger. So Bitburger.
Oh, Bitburger. Yeah, that's just German Pilsner. Your standard German Pilsner.
Bitburger is the one that brews this beer, and they brew several others. It came in this really weird 24-pack of cans from Costco. And the reason I told my daughter to buy it is she bought it in the summer, and according to what it said on the bottom of the cans, they were good for a full year. So they went from August to August. It had been shipped in August. They got it, and it was good until August of 2020. And it had a Helles lager. It had a black beer in it. It had what's the banana?
Oh, so it was a variety pack.
It was a variety pack with a 6-pack, 4 different. It had one of the ones with banana and cloves, and I'm trying to think of the style. It's funny. As you drink a 14.1%, your brain power starts to fade.
It starts to diminish.
And that's it. You can't remember as much as you remembered before.
Right. I think you're talking about a Hefeweizen.
There was they had a Hefeweizen in, which I thought was very good also. Actually, I thought the Hefeweizen was the best one of the 4. The Bitburger is okay, but it's just like a straight, 5% drinking beer. And, in the summer, it's nice. It goes down easy.
Sut says that Dortmunder lagers are great. I don't think I've had a lot of Dortmunder lagers, maybe 1 or 2 in my lifetime.
I do like German beers because they do go by that Reisgabat, where it's all the ingredients and they don't have any additives. And the only plus in that is it's not going to have anything that's going to be unsightly or really off in the beer. Where sometimes on even craft beer, you can get weird stuff. And hopefully Jeremy's still watching, because you can have mango in beer, and my feelings about it. And it's weird. I was on Facebook one night and somebody came on one of my blogs and was talking about the same beer, and the Mango Fantastico from Founders. And I said, I wrote as a comment, it was a drain pour when I drank it. And I thought for sure that I'd get a bad reaction from the guy because he seemed to like it. So I waited, and he eventually, it was funny, he did it on 2 different websites, and it shows you how dumb I am. I looked at it and it looked like my comment was gone, but it wasn't gone. It was from the different website. So he came back to me and he says, no, I was on 2 different websites. What you said is still on that one. So, you can't get testy when you don't check things out. And I should have looked, because a lot of times people post stuff on multiple blogs, and I'm on the so I'm looking, and he never did comment back. A lot of times when you write stuff, people do not comment back to it. So, they see it, and that's the end of it, kind of thing.
Right. Let's see. Blake, he says, great show, guys. Thanks a lot, Blake. Thanks to everybody for watching. We really appreciate it. This is kind of a spur of the moment thing, as it is a lot of times with these types of things. But we always appreciate you guys watching. We'll go ahead and wrap up the live portion here. You got any other comments? Or?
No, I would just say anybody who sees Bourbon County anywhere in their home state now, and there could be some less from 2019, should pick it up before there's no more left, because it's a quality product and you can't go wrong.
Right. Or if you're like me and you live in a state where you get this stuff years after they've been released, like I'm just now getting the 2018 Bramble Rye. I mean, hey, you never know what might turn up in your area. So always keep your eye, keep on the lookout for this type of stuff, and you might be surprised at what you can find. All right. So thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Michael Komaroff for joining me. Always a pleasure. Hope everybody has a good night. Good rest of the week. Stay safe out there in these strange times that we're living in. And until next time, everybody, cheers.
Cheers, everybody.